You were always just a placeholder. The words land with the softness of a feather, but the sting lingers deeper than any slap. Minjae's voice is calm, disturbingly so, as though he's announcing a weather report rather than ending a 5-year engagement. His hand rests lightly on Unseo's waist, their shoulders touching. The ring on her finger glints under the chandelier I had chosen last spring. My ring. The champagne flute trembles in my hand. I feel the chill of the bubbles through the glass, right before it slips from my fingers and shatters across the marble floor. The sound is distant, like I'm underwater, everything muffled and surreal. My breath catches, but my face doesn't change. I feel nothing. No tears, no screaming, just a nauseating stillness, as though my body is seconds behind my mind. Unseo tilts her head. "We didn't want it to be like this," she says, brushing non-existent dust off her silk dress. My dress from my closet. "But it's better this way. Cleaner." "Cleaner," I repeat softly. Minjae nods, ever the pragmatist. "You'll leave tonight. The lease transfer is already arranged. Movers will come by morning. She needs the space." I scan the room slowly, taking in the familiar curve of the sofa, the pressed lilies wilting in the vase, the lipstick-stained wineglass resting beside a book I never finished. This is my home, my life. And now it's been cut and served like cake at someone else's wedding. They think I'm speechless. Maybe I am for a moment. But then I smile. "Fine," I say, stepping over the shards of glass with bare feet. "Just don't regret it." Onseo blinks, the smile faltering at the edges of her lips. "You're taking this, well, better than you expected?" I pause in the doorway, my fingers already sliding the engagement ring from my hand. I toss it onto the floor. It lands among the champagne shards with a clean, deliberate clink. "That was always your mistake, expecting me to break." Their silence follows me out. I walk into the elevator with my spine straight and my heart hollow, the doors sliding shut on the life they think they stole. I don't look back. I don't go far. Just 3 blocks down to the hotel my grandfather used to favor, an old-world place with brass elevators and staff who still remember my name. The concierge doesn't ask questions when I check in without luggage, just offers a key and a quiet smile. I take the room, drop my phone on the desk, and stare at it like it's an opponent I'm about to unmask. Then I dial. "Mr. Shin, it's me. Activate Clause 12. There's a pause on the line, brief but loaded with recognition. "Understood, miss," he says. "I'll also retrieve the safe deposit key from the legal office. Do you need anything else tonight?" "No," I say, staring out the window at the glittering skyline. "I just need it in motion." The line goes dead, and I let out the first breath I didn't realize I was holding. Mr. Shin had been my grandfather's personal estate lawyer for nearly 30 years, a quiet man with impeccable ethics and a memory like iron. My grandfather trusted him more than his own son. My father, who'd sold off half the family's vineyards before his second divorce. Mr. Shin never asked for gratitude. He asked for clarity. He gave loyalty in return, and when grandfather died, he gave me one more thing. Clause 12 was buried in a contingency will. It was never discussed openly, even when we'd talked estate matters over tea. It was something grandfather had set up before his final surgery, when he started to suspect that certain relatives were circling like vultures. The clause stated that if I ever left the shared property voluntarily, without resistance, without dispute, the ownership of key assets would transfer directly to me, quietly, irrevocably. The penthouse, mine. The villa in Jeju, mine. The 30% of company shares they'd schemed for, also mine. They'd wanted a fight. They'd orchestrated that dinner thinking they would provoke me into reacting, into screaming or clinging. But by walking out without a word, I had handed them the illusion of victory. And, in doing so, triggered the clause they never knew existed. They had no idea that the clock had already started ticking, and they were counting down to nothing. The next morning, I eat breakfast alone on the hotel terrace. Fresh fruit, black coffee, my usual. A breeze lifts the edge of the newspaper, and I catch my reflection in the window beside me. Calm, rested, dangerous. Mr. Shin calls at precisely 9. "The accounts are secured," he says without preamble. Your shares were revalidated with the notary before market open. The safe deposit box contained documents, photographs, and several items your grandfather wished you to have. Would you like them delivered? Yes, I say. And book the conference room for Friday. I'll meet with the board before they hear any rumors. Of course, anything else? Let them think I'm gone, I say. Let them celebrate. In the penthouse, they'll be clinking glasses again. Maybe she's moved the paintings already, replaced my grandfather's abstract pieces with her pastel prints. Maybe Minjae's parading around in my robe, sipping espresso from the mug I bought in Rome. Let them have it. Let them redecorate the stage they think they've won. They don't know they were always standing on my grandfather's trapdoor. By noon, my lawyer has sent formal letters to the family trust and the company's board, registering the legal shift. I don't need to tell Minchae or Unseo anything, not yet. Their silence last night gave me the space I needed. Their arrogance this morning will keep them blind just long enough. At dusk, I visit the villa. The air smells like salt and pine, the horizon painted in fading gold. I walk through the house barefoot, brushing my fingers across old beams and sun-warmed stone. No one's lived here in months, but the place feels alive. My inheritance, yes, but also a promise. My grandfather had this built when I was 12. I used to run along the cliffs, convinced I'd fly someday. And maybe, in a way, I just did. I light a fire in the stone hearth and pour a glass of wine from the cellar. The first toast isn't to revenge or even victory. It's to the man who taught me to wait, to plan, and to move only when the board was mine. Thank you, grandfather, I murmur. The flames crackle. Outside, the tide pulls in. And back in the city, they still don't know they've already lost. Sunlight floods the marble kitchen, glinting off the chrome faucet and the rim of a half-finished latte. It's a beautiful morning, warm, fragrant, utterly serene. The kind of morning that should be remembered for soft music and fresh fruit, but the music isn't playing, and the fruit bowl sits untouched. Minchae leans on the counter in a pressed white shirt that isn't his, drinking from a matte black mug. My mug. Aunseo is curled into one of the velvet stools, legs crossed, fingers scrolling through her phone. She's wearing my robe. Her hair is wet from the shower I always took first. You should have begged, Minjae says suddenly without looking up. You always fold. Onseo laughs, the sound brittle. She left. We won. But something in her voice is off. There's no glow to it, no real satisfaction. She's been trying to get in touch with someone since last night. Minjae's assistant hasn't replied. The lawyer he tried to call hung up after one sentence. The silence stretches between them like a hairline crack on glass. We need the shares transferred, Onseo says finally. Today. She's gone, Minjae replies. Don't play dumb. She walked out without a word. I'm not being dumb, she snaps, her fingers tightening around the phone. Her lawyer's stonewalling. I called 3 times. Minjae straightens, slowly setting the mug down. His brow furrows as he picks up his own phone and begins dialing. It's just procedural. We give them the agreement, sign the transfer forms, file with the board. No, it's not procedural, she cuts in. Her lawyer didn't sound confused. He sounded busy. Minjae doesn't reply. The line keeps ringing. Eventually it clicks to voicemail. Unseo exhales through her nose. What if she didn't just leave? What if she planned it? Minjae scoffs. Planned what? She looked like she'd been sucker punched. Yes, and then she smiled. She sets the phone down with a soft thud. Who smiles after that? The kitchen is too bright now, the sunlight too aggressive. It falls across the marble island where they'd drawn up the proposal draft. Their plan had been simple. Corner me emotionally, pressure me out, and claim what they thought was already theirs. The timing had been perfect. My father on a retreat, the board distracted with quarterly filings, me isolated just enough. And yet, she walked out, Minjae mutters again, as if saying it would make it truer. Aunseo crosses her arms. You were supposed to handle this. You said she never fights, that she wouldn't even know about the shares. She doesn't. But something twists in his gut, that ancient, unwelcome twinge from when he and I first met, when I'd gotten the last scholarship slot before he could apply, when I'd turned down his mentor's project proposal and walked away with my own funding. I didn't yell then either. I simply moved in silence. And silence, Minjae was starting to remember, didn't mean surrender. He opens the company email and scrolls through flagged messages. That's when he sees it. A formal memorandum filed at 9:04 a.m. Notice of conditional transfer, holdings A and B. It's signed by my lawyer and countersigned with my seal. No, he says aloud. He clicks on it 3 times as though the text will change. This isn't right. What is it? The shares. They were transferred. His voice is too thin now, stripped of the confident drawl. But to her, not from her. Eun-seo shoots to her feet. What do you mean to her? She already had them. His voice cracks. She must have had them all along. But we made her leave, Eun-seo hisses, stepping closer. Voluntarily. That's what the clause said, right? You told me. And then she stops. Her face drains as the weight of the error settles in. No, she whispers. No, Min-jae. The clause. It was conditional. He blinks. What? Voluntary relinquishment, she says, the phrase tumbling out like a curse. Not just leaving. It had to be hostile. There had to be a fight. Something that showed she was forced out. If she walked away on her own... It triggered the clause, Min-jae finishes, voice hollow. We voided it ourselves. They stare at each other in the morning light, the echo of the trapdoor opening beneath them, silent but devastating. Eun-seo sinks into the stool again, her legs folding under her. You said she wouldn't know. She shouldn't have known. Then who told her? How did she... Her voice breaks. This can't be happening. Min-jae stares down at the transfer memo again. The date, the timestamp, the legal headers, all pristine, all irreversible. She didn't lose, he says finally, voice flat. She lured us. Eun-seo covers her face with her hands, but not before I see it. Through the villa's live security feed, neatly patched into the tablet beside my wine glass. The one Mr. Shin had activated this morning. I watched them both crumble under the weight of a plan they never saw coming. I swirl the last sip of red wine in my glass, savoring the silence. Checkmate, I whisper. 3 days later, the boardroom is a hive. Mahogany panels, oil paintings, and a chandelier that drips light over every shareholder's polished watch and gleaming glasses. The air smells of citrus wood polish and quiet desperation. Min-jae's voice carries across the long table as he performs calm authority, pointing to charts that mean nothing now. We project a conservative 10% rebound in the second quarter, he says, laser pointer in hand, pending the transfer of legacy shares to centralize executive control. His suit is perfect, his hair sculpted, his posture assured, and yet his eyes keep darting toward the door. They know I'm coming, they just don't know when. I wait outside, watching the second hand on the hallway clock tick toward 11. I can hear the low hum of voices inside, tension masked by formalities. Somewhere in there is Eun-seo pretending she belongs. Somewhere in there is the nameplate that used to sit in front of me. They think they've erased me. Let them. I step through the door precisely on time. Every head turns. I'm in black and gold. Not subtle, sovereign. The heels click across the marble. I don't pause. I don't acknowledge anyone. I walk straight to the chair at the head of the table. A beat. 2. Then I sit. You asked me to leave, I say, voice like silk pulled taut. So I did. Now I'm back. To reclaim what's mine. Gasps ripple. Someone coughs. A few lean forward, unsure whether this is theater or war. Min-jae laughs, trying to play it off. You've got nerve, I'll give you that. I've got documents, I reply, and a legally binding mandate. Your shares were never... Don't finish that sentence, I say gently. The filings are in your inbox. Or you can ask Mr. Shin. Right on cue, the doors open again. Mr. Shin enters, quiet as ever, carrying a leather folio and a sealed envelope. He nods to the room. This meeting has been reclassified, he says. Emergency status. Per Clause 12 of the Founder's Estate, the beneficiary now holds executive veto and majority shareholder authority. Please adjust the agenda. Min-jae opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. The chairman clears his throat. Is this accurate? It is, Mr. Shin replies. The will was verified again this morning. I watch as the weight of that sentence hits like a falling axe. I don't smile. I just open the envelope. Inside, photographs, a timeline. Transaction records, screenshots, wire transfers. The receipts of betrayal. They'd tried to bury me in silence, but I had exhumed every rotten root. I slide the first document across the table. A photo of Minjai's signature on a check to a dummy consulting firm. The next page shows that firm rerouting funds to a luxury boutique registered in Aung Seo's name, and someone across the table makes a sound, sharp and involuntary. Minjae slams his hand on the table. This is slander. No, I say softly. This is truth. The chairman frowns. These are serious allegations. They're not allegations, I reply. They're time-stamped, witnessed, and now disclosed. Yoon Seo rises from her seat, color drained. You can't just walk in here and... I can, I cut in, and I have. The next document lands in front of the finance subcommittee. A transcript of a meeting Minjae claimed never happened. His voice on tape, discussing how to shift funds without internal audit detection. One of the board members, someone I barely remember from the mergers division, raises his hand. Where did you get these? From people you overlooked, people you used, people who were willing to talk. Mr. Shin clears his throat and steps forward. We advise this board to postpone all pending votes until a full investigation concludes, unless the shareholder majority wishes to act now. Minjae looks around. No one meets his eye. He's sweating now. You planned this, he says, low and vicious. You set us up. No, I answer. I gave you rope. You decided what to do with it. The envelope still has one more item inside, but I don't play it yet. I need them squirming longer. I need them remembering every smirk, every whisper, every corner they tried to cut while I watched in silence. This isn't about revenge. This is about correction. Let's proceed, I say, resting my hands lightly on the table. You've all had time to consider your vote. I suggest we take it now. The chairman nods slowly. Motion to dissolve interim executive control pending audit review. Do I have a second? Hands raise one by one. Minjae doesn't speak. Aung Seo sits frozen. I wait until the count is done. When the chairman announces the motion carried, I stand. No drama, no gloating, only reclamation. I'll see you both at the gala, I say to them, unless you choose to resign by then. They don't answer. They just watch me walk out the way I came in, this time with the door wide open. The room feels colder than it should. It's the secondary board chamber, windowless and soundproofed, used only for crisis votes or settlement talks that no one wants recorded in the minutes. A pot of tea steams gently at the center of the long table, untouched. I arrive first, of course. There's a reason I insisted on this setting. Not the showy main conference room with the view of the river, but this space, with walls that don't echo and chairs that feel like confessionals. One by one, the board members file in, eyes flitting between each other, uncertain whether this is a funeral or a reckoning. It's both. Minjae and Yoon Seo enter together, flanked by silence. He's paler than usual. She's hiding behind a high collar and wide sunglasses even though we're indoors. They take seats opposite me, not at the head of the table, not anymore. I assume you've called this meeting to drag this out further, Minjae begins, his tone calm but forced. But the executive team has already issued a response. We dispute the authenticity of the documents you presented. I don't reply, not yet. Instead, I open the leather case in front of me and withdraw a thin folder. Then I speak. This is the truth. I lay out the pages in front of them, carefully like a dealer in a high-stakes game. First, a notarized ledger from the Legacy Medical Trust. Withdrawals made over the last 2 fiscal quarters totaling nearly $1.7 million. Second, a matching timeline of boutique expenses from a shell company registered in Yoon Seo's name. Designer invoices, shipment logs, a loan taken out using forged collateral. Yoon Seo's knuckles whiten as she clutches her pen. These accounts, I say, voice steady, were intended to fund end-of-life care for veterans my grandfather personally selected. Men and women whose benefits had run out, whose families had nothing. They died waiting for treatments your boutique displays could have paid for 10 times over. Stop, Aung Seo whispers, but I'm not finished. Each withdrawal came days before one of your expansions. Paris? Tokyo? Busan? You even hosted a launch party the same week the hospital canceled a round of chemo for 7 patients. This is a stunt, Minjae cuts in, slamming his hand on the table. You're weaponizing grief. My name is on nothing. It is, I say, flipping to the next page. Bank account ending in 9,908. Co-signer Min-jae Kim. The trust access authorization was forged using your digital signature, which we confirmed using two-factor login timestamps provided under subpoena. Min-jae's breath catches. The board stirs. This is all circumstantial. He tries again, reaching for the old bravado. You think anyone outside this room will care? No one gives a damn about some old legacy trust. They care about revenue. Then maybe you should care about this. I slide the last page across the table. A photograph, black and white, grainy. It shows Min-jae standing in a clinic hallway, shaking hands with the trust's interim manager, the one who resigned last year, citing pressure from above to liquidate redundant allocations. His resignation letter is stapled to the back. You're accusing me of theft? Min-jae laughs, but the sound cracks in his throat. You think they'll believe you over me? A senior board member, Madam Song from Compliance, speaks up for the first time. They don't have to believe her. The paper trail is cleaner than yours. More murmurs. Unseo exhales a soft, broken sound. You said no one would find out. You said she wouldn't fight back, Min-jae hisses, rounding on her. Their unraveling is delicious, but I don't indulge it. This board has 1 hour, I say, tapping the folder, to vote to dissolve Min-jae's executive control, initiate a third-party audit of all financials related to the boutique and the trust, and freeze related accounts. And if we don't? Asks one of the newer directors, wary. I go public, I answer. At 7:01 p.m., I've scheduled a full release of all documents to 3 major financial reporters and a survivor foundation who's been waiting for answers, including the files you haven't seen yet. Blackmail, Min-jae mutters. No, I say, accountability, you just haven't met it before. Unseo closes her eyes. We can fix this. You can't, I say, not cruelly. Not anymore. The chairman, who has remained largely silent through the exchange, leans forward. Is there time to contain this? Only if you act now, I say. Vote to remove him, announce an audit, release a statement about redistributing the stolen funds. I'll hold the public release until morning. And if we delay? I meet his eyes. Then I burn it all down and I won't flinch when I do. Silence falls. Then the board murmurs. Pages turn. Phones are passed around discreetly. Madam Song whispers something to the legal rep beside her. It's not a debate anymore. It's triage. The timer on my watch ticks forward. At 6:47, the chairman taps his glass. The board recognizes emergency motion 11A. A vote will now be held. Each member calls their vote in turn. When it reaches Min-jae, he glares at me. No, he snaps. And when this is over, I'll bury you. You already tried, I reply, but I do better underground. The last vote is cast. 12 in favor, 1 against, 2 abstain. The motion carries. Just like that, Min-jae's title is gone. The chairman sighs. Effective immediately, Mr. Kim is relieved of all duties. An interim committee will oversee audit coordination. Miss, we request access to your full documentation. I'll forward everything within the hour, I say, gathering my folder. Min-jae stands. You'll regret this. I might, I answer, but you already do. He storms out, brushing past the tea cart and shoving open the heavy door. Eun-seo doesn't follow him, not right away. She lingers, and for a strange second, I see someone else there. Not the woman who wore my robe, but a girl who wanted too much, too fast, and hitched her star to a collapsing man. She meets my gaze. Was it always like this for you? She asks softly. What? Winning. I shake my head. No, just surviving. She leaves without another word. When the room empties, I finally sit down again. Alone, no applause, no smiles. Just breath. And the truth, no longer buried. The ballroom gleams like a jewel suspended in glass. From 50 floors up, the skyline wraps around us, a horizon of flickering lights and mirrored towers. Violinists in black play something slow and aching, their music barely audible beneath the soft hum of polite conversation and the clinking of glasses. I pause just inside the entrance, letting the hush ripple outward as heads turn. Eyes catch on the silhouette of my black gown, the slit cutting high up one leg, the neckline edged in gold thread. I know exactly how I look. composed, invincible, impossible to ignore. The whispers begin before I take a single step. She wasn't invited. Is that her? Didn't she vanish after the vote? My heels echo with perfect clarity against the marble, the sound a steady drumbeat as I glide into the gala that was meant to cement Minjai's future. Too bad I came to end it. I spot him quickly. Center of the room, hand resting lightly on a whiskey tumbler, flanked by investors and polished laughter. His suit is sharp, navy with silver pinstripes, tailored within an inch of his life. He catches sight of me just as he's raising his glass and he freezes mid-toast. I don't smile, I don't blink. I walk straight toward him. "You're late," Minjae says with a smile that doesn't touch his eyes. "I wasn't invited." "And yet you're here." "You should know by now," I say, accepting a glass from a passing waiter without breaking stride. "I never need permission." His mask doesn't slip, but the skin around his mouth tightens. "You had your scene. The vote happened. You got your victory." "That wasn't victory," I say. "That was cleanup. I glance around. "This is the reckoning." "You really want to do this in public?" "Yes." He sets down his drink. "You think exposing me here helps you? Everyone in this room has skeletons. Most are worse than mine." I sip from the glass. Most didn't steal from the dying. At that moment, Aunseo approaches from the far side of the room. She's in a floor-length crimson gown, earrings catching the light with every step, but her eyes are already on the folder in my hand. "No," she says, halting in front of me. "Not here. You don't need to humiliate us like this." "I gave you time to walk away," I say calmly. "You chose to stay." Minjae's jaw flexes. "You're bluffing." I open the folder. This is the notarized affidavit from your former assistant, Sangwoo. He outlines everything: the forged digital approvals, the deleted recovery emails, the quiet payouts. Minjae snatches the folder, flipping through it fast. "This isn't real." "You said the same about the financial logs, about the power of attorney reversal, about the audit summary. Want to keep digging?" "Even if it's true," Aunseo says, her voice low and urgent, "you'll be destroying the company's reputation. The press is watching." "I know," I lift my chin. "That's why I sent the documents out 10 minutes ago." Minjae turns sharply. "You what?" "To the press," I clarify. "To the shareholders and to the Veterans Advocacy Group. They've been waiting a long time for the truth." His face goes white. For the first time, the mask really cracks. "You've doomed us," he breathes. "No," I say. "You did. I'm just turning on the lights." Gasps ripple from the crowd as phones begin buzzing. Screens light up. Eyes flicker to notifications. I don't even have to say it. The press has it all now. The chairman arrives then, moving through the gathering like a stone cutting water. His expression is grim. "Mr. Kim," he says, voice clipped, "we've received corroboration from third-party auditors. The board is prepared to announce your formal removal from all advisory and consultancy positions." "You can't do this," Minjae says. "We can," the chairman replies, "and we will." Eunseo sways slightly like the floor beneath her has turned to water. "But we still have shares," she murmurs. "You can't erase us." "You're right," I say, "but I can make sure you never touch anything again." There's a lull, the kind of silence that hangs before thunder. And then the questions start, not from me, not even from the board, from the crowd, investors, journalists, donors. Is it true? How long has this been going on? Who else was involved? I don't answer them. I just turn to Minjae. "Still think I was nothing without you?" He doesn't speak. "You think this is justice?" he asks finally, voice low and broken. "It's just vengeance." "No," I say. "Justice is what we were denied. This," I gesture to the room, the screens, the faces turning toward me. "This is correction." He laughs, bitter. "We gave you everything." "You gave me nothing," I reply. "You stole everything. I just remembered it was mine." Minjae opens his mouth again, but the security detail flanking the chairman steps forward. "It's time," one of them says. He hesitates, then turns and walks away without a word. Not in disgrace, not with spectacle, just absence, as if he was never the center after all. Onseo remains. She watches him disappear into the elevators, her hand trembling slightly at her side. She turns back to me, something unreadable in her expression. You waited a long time to do this, she says. Yes. Why now? I look around at the people still staring. Because now they're finally watching. She nods once. He deserved it. And you? Her lip twitches. I thought I was saving myself. You chose the wrong lifeboat. I know. There's no forgiveness between us, only understanding. And then she walks away too, her heels clicking across the floor like a metronome counting down the last beats of an ending. I exhale, letting the silence rush in where their voices had been. Then I feel the press approach. Questions fly like arrows. What's next? Who knew? How long had I been planning this? I raise one hand. Tonight isn't about rebuilding. Tonight is about truth. The rest comes later. They fall quiet. The chairman steps beside me. We'll issue a formal press release before morning. Will you consider returning as interim director? Not yet, I say. There's something else I need to do first. He hesitates. Of course, but this was a masterstroke. It was survival, I reply. No one should have to collapse just to be heard. He nods solemnly and steps away. As the crowd disperses, I head toward the exit. A cool breeze rushes in through the open terrace doors. Mr. Shin is waiting just outside, coat folded over his arm, patient as ever. Everything went as expected, he says quietly. I glance over. You always say that. Because you always plan better than they do. He hands me a small envelope, cream-colored with a single word written on the front in his familiar, elegant script. Begin. Inside is a name, a birth date, a file number, and a location. My birth mother. A truth untouched by even this storm. I slip it into my clutch and nod once. The next reckoning will be mine as well, but for tonight, I walk down the wide marble steps, the city unfolding before me like a promise finally kept. I was never weak. I was watching, and now I'm done watching. Now I rise.